Alright, let's begin from this position. This is an indication of a slow game. If white plays Super 2-4-3, he can create a defensive structure, but it is usually designed for rapid attack, and he's going to have a tough time in endgame if black launches really aggressive lines, because if he plays Super 2-4-3, that's gonna mean there will be fewer pieces around the king, so Oyama pushes this central pawn first. And black goes for Anaguma castle. And instead of this, Oyama plays Super 2-5-3. And puts more pressure around the central file, since these goals are still on their original squares. Oyama can force black to play Super 2-6-6. Now this bishop is blocked, so this is a good move. Then Oyama develops these three pieces going for Super Crown. And pawn to 8-5. Putting more pressure around the castle is also a good idea when it comes to attacking Anaguma. And finally he moves this gold and protects the square. This will be the only way for black to exchange pawns, because these pieces are protected the second file now, right? And Oyama completes his beautiful Super Crown. And after the exchange, pawn to 6-4. This movement is a little subtle, but you will know why he plays this. Rook to 6-2. This is the idea. For now, the silver and the rook are taking control around the central file, so Oyama wants to push the silver back. And black plays rook to 3-6, because if he keeps this rook here, it is too close to the battleground. And Oyama drops the pawn right here. And once again black tries to exchange pawns on the second file. And before protecting it, Oyama plays pawn to 6-5 as planned. And then bishop to 5-1. And rook to 2-2 is a usual good tactic. And bishop to 6-2. Now black is having a little bit of trouble waiting, because his pieces are now fully developed, but he can't initiate attacks either, because these pieces are working great, stopping black's attack. And this is a weak point, but if black plays defensive move like this, then possibly white can play bishop to 4-4 to control these squares. Black can still exchange pawns like this. If white takes this pawn, then this is a great one, right? But white can simply take this pawn, and bishop takes, pawn drop, and then go to 5-3 is a good idea because it is no longer useful here, so he can develop his defense by combining these 4 pieces. So this is a possible line. But black doesn't want to do this, and instead he decides to exchange pawns right here for more flexibility. Pawn takes, silver takes, and Oyama plays bishop to 4-4 anyway. Of course, black doesn't want to drop the freshly captured pawn here, so he instead plays bishop to 5-7. And like I said, Oyama decides to reposition his gold. Now black really commits. It is a little bit risky because now this pawn is loose. So of course Oyama takes it. And knight takes. And rook takes. And white is going to lose this knight, but it's part of his plan. Oyama kicks the silver first. Silver rounds, and he attacks the central square, which is a weak point. And this pawn drop is cool. If rook takes it, then Oyama can promote his knight, right? So bishop has to round. And then he activates the gold to put more pressure around the 6th file. If black offers rook exchange now, this will likely to happen. White takes it, knight takes, and rook drop. Next pawn promotion is strong, but it is difficult for black to defend. Knight drop can defend the square, but it's most likely to be a wasteful move. Black can also defend like this, but he's breaking up his own defense, so it's also a risky move, and white can play something like this. Next pawn push is strong, and black can harass the bishop by rook drop, but white can ignore this drop and push this pawn anyway, so white should be fine. So maybe that's why black doesn't want to take this knight by the rook, and he actually takes it by the knight. But Oyama takes back the knight anyway, so the material balance is almost equal. And this pawn drop is very calm. If white promotes the bishop, then black can promote his rook too, right? But this is not a good trade, and instead he decides to drop the pawn to block the rook. And the threat is still going, so initiative is on the white side. And instead of taking the lance, he promotes the bishop to 3-7. This is also cool because the horse is strong, and it's a good idea to keep it closer to the major pieces that are not working so well. Black promotes his bishop as well, but it's weak. Now Oyama tries to trap the rook. Now his rook is completely useless, and Oyama pushes this central pawn. that's more valuable than just one lance. Black defense, but Oyama sacrifices the pawn and insists on making promoted pawn. If black defense like that, then rook to 5-1 is a good idea. Basically, horse has to run, but then white will be able to promote his rook, so that's good. Black can defend like this, but then white can push this pawn because of the silver's absence, and then next knight drop here is going to be a strong move. So either way, it's not gonna be good for black, so maybe that's why black ignores the drop and kept going. But this pawn promotion does actually nothing because it's too far from the defense, right? And white's attack is faster. This promotion is so strong. Black keeps going as well. But then Oyama kills the gold. It's really painful for black because it takes multiple moves for black to finally position these pieces into effective squares, and that's not still good enough. And all of a sudden Oyama decides to defend like this. Because he wants to activate his rook as well, but for now this pawn is protected, so it makes sense to attack this horse. Horse has to move back, and then you know what to do, right? This pawn drop. Now this horse is removed from the diagonal, so this pawn is up for grab, but instead of taking it, Oyama pushes this pawn to put a little bit more pressure around the castle. If black defends like this, then white can take this pawn. But instead, black decides to keep going. And he promotes the pawn. And knight takes, gold takes, horse to 4-5. Now Anaguma Castle gets significantly weak, and this pawn push is critical. And black takes it. Now the empty space is created, and then finally Oyama takes the pawn. For now, Oyama gave up 2 golds, but he can still afford it because his defense is still solid, right? And this promotion is so strong. Thanks to the pawn sack, he can drop either pawn or knight to 8-7. So black has to drop the gold anyway. And this knight drop is also strong. Gold runs, and many people might think about horse to 5-7 because you can activate the horse, also defend the knight, right? But it's not strong enough since the position is in white's favor, so white can go more aggressive. And that's actually what Oyama did, which is knight drop to 6-6. If gold takes the knight, then silver drop to 7-8 is possible. It looks like black already knows he's losing, so he simply ignores the drop. And rook takes and pawn drop. This is a checkmate. Oh, sorry, threatmate. And the silver drop is also a threatmate, but there is nothing black can do anymore, so he has to keep going. But his defense is still fine. And black finally looks for a place to resign, and you will see a beautiful checkmate line. And gold takes, and he trades the dragon with the gold, and king takes and gold drop. And this is where black resigned. And it is going to be an easy mate from this point forward. If king runs one move mate, right? But even if rook takes it, knight promotion, king takes, and rook drop. And no matter where he goes, gold drop, period. Alright, that's all for this video. It's been a while since the last time I make a video, and I appreciate you still supporting me. As always, thanks for watching and see you all next time. Bye.